Hi, I'm Jenny from Surprise, Arizona, and you are watching Etsy Shop Audits. By the time that it got to Thanksgiving, I normally cook the entire Thanksgiving meal from appetizer, dessert. I didn't do any of it because I was sitting at the heat press making all the orders.
So you're not even print on demand. You're doing all of the stuff yourself.
It was all me. I turned my iPad off because I kept hearing the orders coming in. Like, I wanted to crawl in a corner and cry. I was like, I'm grateful for these orders, but at the same time, I'm going, how in the world?
All right, Jenny. So the shop name is Inked in Time.
Right.
The shop age is 10 months old. The niche, we're still going to try to dive into that, 'cause I think that's one of the things that you wanted to talk about. But right now it's holidays and really decor for the holidays. Your sticking point, steady sales, join the club. And total revenue is $16,473.93 in 10 months. That's pretty good. And then income goal is $6,000 to $7,000 per month. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Let's dig into why did you want to do this? Let's just start there. Like, why did you want to do this? Like, where's your sticking point? Like, what do you want to gain from today?
I am having trouble trying to niche down. When I started this whole thing, I was just like, I have horrible shiny object syndrome. I'll tell you guys that right now. I see something, I'm like, oh my God, that would be awesome. And I make it. So there's problem number one. Okay. So I started off thinking, okay, it'll kind of be like decor. Most of that money that you saw was made in Q4. Christmas items. I love Christmas movies. A lot of those items were geared towards Christmas movies. And I was completely unprepared for it. Like, I did not expect those kind of sales, but it was awesome, but terrifying. So anyway, I mean, I have a lot of holiday items, like my towels and pillowcases, things like that. They're geared towards holiday. But then I have everyday things, and I have things that are more on like the faith-based kind of, Christian items. And so I'm like, okay, well, how do I niche down? Do I stay in holiday? But I feel like if I stay in holiday, you're only selling during certain parts of the year, and I don't want that. So I'm not sure where to go.
Okay. So when did you start selling? Like you said 10 months ago, but when did you start really like gearing up for fourth quarter? Cause was it like a hockey stick, like straight up?
Yeah. So I started first with Shopify before Etsy. I had a few sales on Shopify, and that was okay. And then I was like, I was an Etsy buyer for years before, and it never occurred to me, why don't you get on Etsy? So I did. And I had a few sales here and there. And then October, I had a few more. Beginning in November, that's when I started adding more of the Christmas things. And it was like 5 sales a day, 8 sales, 10, and it kept going up. By the time that it got to Thanksgiving, I normally cook the entire Thanksgiving meal from appetizer, dessert. I didn't do any of it because I was sitting at the heat press making all the orders.
So you're not even print on demand. You're doing all of the stuff yourself.
It was all me. I mean, every time there was one day, like, I think it was Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend. I turned my iPad off because I kept hearing the orders coming in. Like, I wanted to crawl in a corner and cry because I was like, I'm grateful for these orders, but at the same time, I'm going, how in the world I was ordering case and case after towels, because it was mainly towels that people were ordering. And so, yeah, that was pretty scary. But yeah, I started on Shopify first, and then, like I said, a few orders here and there on Etsy, and then it took off. And then in January and February and March, I mean, it's been steady. Okay. Not like I'd want it to be, but it's been steady.
Okay.
So that's
been awesome. Is it primarily selling like now, like this time of year?
Wind spinners are really popular. So a lot of wind spinners, a lot of towels. And then I brought in wreath signs because I also made wreaths. And so I was like, why don't you sell those too? And at the time when I brought those in, that was September or October. Okay. And back then I was like, maybe I should open another shop and only do wreath signs, because the wreath signs don't really have a whole lot to do with what I'm doing. And I wish I'd done that back then, because now I'm really nervous too with all the shutdowns and everything. So that was another one of my questions is, do I open another shop and just put those in there? And then keep the other items? And I'm all over the place and I don't know where to go.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Yeah. We'll explore that.
yeah.
I don't necessarily think that that has to be the case, but I also think like we have to look at like opportunity and opportunity cost, right?
Yeah.
Like, cause you said it and I'm guilty of it. Chris is guilty. We've all been guilty of it. It's like shiny objects. Like I want to do that. But I've also learned over the years, like anytime that I can focus, I'm going to be less stressed and I'm going to actually get probably further.
Yeah.
But it's tough. It's a tough thing.
Yep.
It's definitely tough. So I guess where I would want to first start is like, cause you said like you're mainly geared towards holiday stuff. So I'm imagining like right now, Easter is probably something, right? That's happening.
Yeah.
And I do think that there is a place for that, but like you said, you don't want to be only Q4 heavy.
Yeah.
On Etsy though, it's kind of hard not to be.
Yeah.
To be quite honest. I mean, my wife has experienced the same thing, and every year she says the same thing since it. She's like, I don't want to repeat that next year. Like we have to find out a way to make that easier because that was hard. The money was great, but like you said, like she's going on a trip with my daughter for beach volleyball, and the weekend she's taking her laptop and she's in the room processing orders. And she's like, I don't want to have to do that when I'm away. And I'm like, I get it. So I feel your pain. You were doing it actually even further. You're like out there with the heat press, like, doing stuff. So I guess the thing is we have to figure out how you can streamline, but then also where you can get the steady sales with it, not just being holidays. Although I think there's always going to be in any business. If you go to Lowe's right now, there's holiday stuff going in, but there's seasonal stuff going in, right? It's spring, then you're going to have fall. And that's okay because I think then once you start building out those categories in your shop, it's okay to do that. Does make it hard though if you're just like Easter instead of it being Easter for fill in the blank, right? Like it's a little bit easier to do that because then you're not just everyone's doing Easter stuff. Is there a specific niche that you would say that you're getting orders for? Is your stuff personalized too, by the way? I didn't even ask.
I have a lot of personalized items. Yes.
Okay. Chris, why don't we pull up the shop? Let's just get into it. Okay. 1,182 sales is great. 5 stars. Awesome. So, okay. Love that. Join VIP. Nice. Okay. Like that. Great. Okay. You got your web address. Perfect. You've been watching videos. I can tell.
I have. Yeah.
Wow.
Everybody's building an email list.
Chris, we got an action taker.
Hey, real quick, I wanted to give you a little behind the scenes on how these Etsy shop audits even happen. Every single month, Chris Schaefer and I, we meet and we batch record 3 to 4 of these episodes. Then they get edited and they get posted like the one you're watching right now. But what we decided to do is create what we call our Backstage Pass Club. This is where all of our club members, they get to join us on that recording as we're doing it live. The other cool thing is you're able to ask questions and you also can get access to the recordings before they ever air, immediately, raw and unedited. You even get all the questions that were asked that you might have missed because, well, maybe you couldn't attend that one live. So if you'd like to be part of our Backstage Pass Club and join our next batch recording session, head on over to brandcreators.com/club or click the link in the description. Now let's get back to the audit.
I like it.
That's awesome. I love all that. Okay, cool. So let's see
All
here.
right. So very first thing that sticks out to me, Scott, those featured items. Boom, boom, right? We have 2 videos going on.
Like that.
Which, if you guys aren't taking advantage of this already, you should be in any way that you can. Obviously, Jenny, since you hand make a lot of this stuff, or at least parts of a lot of this stuff, you have a leg up on this. But even, I'm assuming you don't necessarily hand make this garden flag.
No,
right?
the garden, it's a blank garden flag, and I put the design on both sides. So,
but even still, this picture is fantastic. Right. So even if this isn't, even if you just digitally created this, the images here are really standing out to me. So this is something we seem to be doing a good job with, at least in the featured items.
Yep. Yeah. Now, what are those there?
Those are the wreath signs.
Okay.
So yeah, they're mainly bought by people, and they go in like the middle of the wreath, or they'll attach them on different parts of the wreath. So that's mainly what they're for.
Okay.
So Scott, with something like this, would you like to see this just as the circle, or would you like to see it with even if it's a digital wreath around it? So they have.
Yeah, I think I would, because I didn't know that that's what it was for, but I'm not looking for it either. So I don't know if people would know, in particular. Okay. So you could even just, okay, I see. You just put it up on an easel like that too.
Yeah, it's kind of to show people what the back looks like. It doesn't come with any hardware. So, because some people think it's like an actual sign, like I'm going to send them something with, hardware to hang it up. So that was just to show that that's what it is.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And I like it too, that this is a great example of what we talk about as far as like, you can see you holding it, so you can see the size, right? Yeah. This is good. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you're doing a great job on your listings, as far as optimization goes, I don't know. I don't know what the search is for this. Like, welcome to our home floral wreath sign. Are people searching for that? Welcome to our home, maybe. But again, this is for spring. Would you say you created this for spring?
Spring or summer, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think one thing that you said stood out to me, and it was, you're not sure if you should focus on like holidays only or seasons only. Maybe you can do some stuff that's, faith-based, Christian-based. It's like stuff like that. I do think you can still do everything that you're doing, but I think you could bolt that on. Okay. So I personally would probably say, if there was a way for you, because I mean, faith-based, Christian-based is huge, massive. If you even just look at some t-shirts that have sold really well, faith-based, like huge. I would probably say, and then that's going to give you more steady, because that stuff's being purchased non-seasonal. So I would probably say, if I had your ability of what you can create, I'd probably be leaning in that direction.
Okay.
And if it's not that one, I'd find one. I would have to find a niche that I could go after versus it just being spring, summer, fall, Christmas, like whatever. I'm not saying it couldn't work. I'm just saying it's going to be harder because there's a lot more competition for the broadness of that.
Yeah.
But if you specifically tailor it, and then the other cool thing is like, if you have more specialized items for that, you're also going to pick up more people buying more stuff. Mm-hmm. Right. And I don't know what like, how are your orders? Do people buy more than one thing? Are they adding?
Yeah, a lot of them are multiple items. Like Q4, it for the most part, it was a set of towels, but people weren't just buying one set. They were buying, 3 sets, adding on a pillowcase. And so, at one order always had multiple. Rarely was there just one towel or just one set of towels. That was the big one. That was the one that
that one there.
Oh yeah. That's the one that just caught me off guard. So
Scott, is there anything with this listing in particular that gives you a little bit of pause?
The only thing is the Christmas vacation.
Yeah.
And using Griswold's potentially, right? And that is the correct way of describing this. It's just, we always want to advocate that people are very careful with the trademark stuff. And I know that's something you're concerned about, because this was a big chunk of what those sales are. And so how do we capitalize on the momentum that you have and turn this into something that we don't have that concern? That was kind of the big thing.
Yeah. And I was going to say that earlier, but I was going to, again, say it later, is that, you said that a lot of the stuff was movie related, and we have to be careful with that, because even though like you're getting the sales, like we've seen it like with other people, it's like, it doesn't matter if you're doing 100,000 sales, they'll flag you. And then
I know. Yeah.
So that's why I think it is important. Like right now you're not super busy, right? You're busy, but you're not super, super busy. Mm-hmm. Now it's time to create that path.
Okay.
We've got a great season to count. So that's like bingo. Like right now, if you were to open a second shop, you're probably going to have a harder time. Like right now, they're not approving accounts that easily, and no one knows why. It doesn't matter. You have an account, it's up and running, it's got great sales velocity, it has great standings. Did you ever get any flags? Did you ever get any notifications about anything?
No, the only thing that ever happened was in the beginning of November when I started getting more sales, I got the reserve where they were holding back 30%.
Yep.
Which was fine. I expected it.
Yep.
But that was no big deal. That was lifted like a month and a half later. Yep. But that's the only thing I've ever had. Yeah.
And by the way, I'm just looking at that picture there. I love it how you got it over a mixer. Like your detail is really good. So, kudos to you on that. Like really, really good job. And I do think that's why your stuff does well, is because you have a good eye for design and for even just setting up the shot. So anyone watching this, pay attention. This is good stuff. So yeah, I think it's really important. I think it's obvious to me. If it was me, I would need to start thinking, okay, what is that direction that I'm going to go? Mm-hmm. And I don't know, how you feel about religion or faith or Christianity or any of that stuff. I don't know, but that's probably where I would go. You mentioned it. Mm-hmm. That's probably where I would go because I see a long tail to that.
Okay.
I see a massive, massive audience for that. I see so many different cool things that you could do on shirts, on sweatshirts, on signs, on pillows. And this stuff can still be there and you can still do your spring flags. You can still do your stuff. Keep adding that in. But I would want to see you go in one somewhat direction.
Okay.
Obviously there's more directions you can go in even that, thing, but it's like right now it's like, at least there's a direction.
Yeah.
Because you have the ability. Now, what do you have for equipment that's allowing you to do all this?
So I have 2 sublimation printers and I have there's a sublimation oven and then I have the tumbler press, mug press. Mm-hmm. And then in another room, because it's way too hot to have a heat press in here, I have a large 16 by 24 heat press.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
you got the ability to create products at will. Like mm-hmm. You have that ability. You also have the ability to create design. You've got all the skills. Now it's very simple. It's about direction.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely there you go. Growing grace. That's great. Great. Like it a lot. So yeah, like, man, I think I would go in that direction. I think you could do really, really well. And you're going to be able to build an email list, right? Like, cause these people, you're going to be getting people to raise their hand for faith-based stuff. I mean, you could send out email once a week, twice a week, and people are not because you're going to probably give them something, that's nice to look at, but then also just a reminder of maybe just staying present or, whatever, which mm-hmm. is a whole nother animal, right? Like you can even go down that road of like people that are, just whatever, like for even a cause, if there was a cause that you could get behind, that was, I don't want to say faith-based, but that was something that was important to people. Mm-hmm. That would be another avenue. But I just think like meaningful things. I mean, we just went through the last audit and we did it on, baptisms and what was it?
Christenings.
Christenings. Yeah. There it is. Thank you.
On Christopher's. Yeah.
On Christopher's. Christenings. You know what I mean? Like you even have the ability there, not even competing with the one we just talked about because she's doing more handmade and you could do like, signs for the room, pillows, throw blankets and all of these different things because you have the capability of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any reservations to that?
No, I don't. And I mean, the faith-based, that's important to me. So it is something I'm interested in. So that's why I was thinking going that way. Yeah. And when I think when I sent in my information to you, I hadn't done the 1, 2, 3 pod yet. Mm-hmm. And I completed that. And so that kind of opened my eyes because I had some reservations about doing print on demand. For some reason, I thought if I did that, it wouldn't have the same customer experience because I'm very picky with what I put out, how I pack it. I put a handmade or handwritten note mm-hmm. in with everything. And so I was saying, okay, well, if I do print on demand, I can't do that. But so started going back through purchases I made on Etsy recently.
Mhm.
And I was so surprised to find out how many were print on demand. And I thought back and I was like, okay, well, I didn't think anything different of it when it got there. I was just excited to get it.
Yeah.
So then I started looking at all the different things. The shirts that you pulled up, those are my first print on demand that I added. I just added those a couple of days ago. So I would like to start adding more of those, more print on demand.
Mhm.
And
these are great, by the way.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think your design skills are on point here.
Yeah.
Right. And if it makes sense, then I think we add it in. And even Jenny, if you want to go with the more seasonal approach and start filling that out, there is a Christian bent, for lack of a better term, to any holiday, to any celebration, any reason people would be buying things, right? Like you can even bring in the 4th of July by bringing in like Galatians, right? Like stand firm and don't let yourself fall victim to the yoke of slavery or what, like any of those kinds of things. You can bring that in and incorporate that into a seasonal product if that's what you want to do. Or you can do that in addition to things like this. Grow in grace. This is something, and I've seen you do this in other listings in the shop, and it sounds like you've been paying at least a little bit of attention to some of the things that we've been saying, where you take something that sells well on one thing and you apply it to a bunch of different products, right? This would be a fantastic yard sign. This would be a great wreath. What were you calling them? Like a wreath backing?
A wreath sign.
A wreath sign.
Yeah.
This would be a great pillow, right? Just with this design.
Yep.
And so, we have the ability to go evergreen and also focus on the different holidays to really make this grow. Yes, Q4 is still going to be big for you, right?
Yeah.
But we can start to fill this in, even if we do niche down to just the faith base or Christian base niche.
Okay.
Yeah. And let me ask you this. You said in the very beginning, like you suffer like we all do of, shiny object syndrome. And I am just curious, what is the draw? Like, what is the thing that you go, oh, I got to do that too now? Like, is it money? Is it just that you want more sales? What is the driver, I guess?
Yeah, I always want more sales. But a lot of it for me is just, I will see something new. I want to make it and see if I can do it. And if I like it and it turns out well, then I'll put it up there. If I make it and I don't like it, then I don't. I don't put anything up there that I have not made, tested, washed a few times. I'm not just going to throw something up there and sell it to somebody and without testing it first. So part of it is just, finding it and making it. And if I like it, I put it up. If I don't, then I don't. So.
Okay. I like that. I guess my thing is like, if you like, once again, and I used this example the other day, I think it was on a live, and I was like, we've all seen the video out there that's got the mug, right? And it's got like a new design, right? And it's got $15,422 in 1 month. And then all of a sudden you're like, I should create one of those designs too, right? Like, I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but a lot of people are thinking like, oh, this person showed us that it's got all these sales. I could sit here and show you hundreds of those. But does that mean that we should do them? Probably not, because everybody else is going to be doing them.
Yeah.
To me, I guess your biggest, I don't even want to call it a weakness, but it's like one of your biggest struggles that is holding you back is focus. And I think if we together can get you to just go, okay, you just said that it's, faith-based, Christian stuff, it's important to you. That to me, that's game over.
Yeah.
Like go, like 100%. Everything else is a distraction. Everything else does not matter. If you want to create something that's really pretty because it's a spring thing, go for it. Right. You see an Easter thing, go for it. Right. Like any of that stuff, it's still going to go well under that brand. But also I see it's something that you feel good about and that you're going to be like, oh, and on a side note, you're also now being able to build an audience of some kind that now, that's what they're into. Not someone that bought something for their Christmas story or, Christmas vacation. Yeah. Okay. They're into movies and funny things. Great. Are they going to buy from me again? Maybe. but it's like a one-off type deal.
Yeah.
It was funny. They bought it because of the movie. For you, they're going to start, number one, seeing your style, your design, and then they're also doing it because they're just like you, faith-based, Christian-based, like that's what they want to be a part of. And now you're building this little community. And when you email people, it's like, hey, it's Jenny, this week I had a really fun time creating some new designs for blah, 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 blah. If you want to go check them out, go here. I can't tell you how much I really appreciate all of you sending me emails, sharing your latest shirt or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. Like it can be so simple for when you're writing now an email. And when you do that, you're going to make more sales.
Okay.
Have you, I saw that you created the landing page and stuff like that. Have you started to build the list?
No, not really. That's only been up there for a little, I don't know how long, but not very long.
Okay.
So not really, but I mean, I have repeat buyers. In fact, I have a lady who just placed her 5th order with me.
Great.
Who, every time she'll send it out to her kids or, just as a thinking of you gift. So, I mean, that's nice, but I haven't really had a whole lot of luck with it yet.
So you don't really have any other reach other than what Etsy's giving you?
Yes.
Okay. Anything on social media?
No, I'm horrible at social media.
Okay, that's good. I don't want you to be good at social media right now. I want you to be good at email marketing.
Yeah.
That would be my goal. If there was one thing I could say I would want you to get good at is like building a list and sending emails.
Okay.
Because if you build a list and send emails, you will make more money.
Okay.
If you post on social media, TikTok can go out of, could get banned like they're potentially going to. Like I don't think they're going to, but they already passed in the, I don't know, Chris, you and I were talking about it with Congress and whatever.
Yeah, they passed a bill in the House.
Yeah,
but who knows?
Now it's got to go to So, but anyway, my point is this: you can build followers, but followers can go away. If you have an email list, it's really hard for you to lose that email list.
Yeah, I do have an email list on Shopify.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, so I do try to keep up with that. But as far as the one on Etsy, it's just barely started to get going. So,
so the ones on Shopify are from customers that purchase from you.
On Shopify, yes, they are.
Okay, cool. There you go. You got to start. Have you done anything to build your well, it sounds like you haven't yet, but have you heard about us talking about like the giveaway model, our fishbowl method, as we call it?
A little bit.
Okay. I would recommend doing that.
Okay.
And I really think that could, and anyone watching, and so what we call it the fishbowl method, because that's how it originated. My wife and I used to do little galas for our school function for our kids, and we would raffle off a free photography session, and that built an email list way back in the day before email was even a thing. And we were able to sell out a lot of our photography sessions throughout the year. Nowadays we use digital ways of like creating a landing page, but we also do it now with taking a bunch of our items and then putting it up on Facebook and then putting a little bit of money behind it, like $5 a day. And when you do that, you're creating a giveaway, but you're also targeting the right people. So you would be targeting, in this case, I would go the faith-based, and I would create like a faith-based little gift package for those people, right? And then I would target people on Facebook, and I'd run it for 14 days, and I'd build an email list. And guess what? As you're building that list, they're interested in this stuff. You're going to then send them to your Etsy shop. Let them know about your Etsy shop. Let them know that you're a designer, that you're also doing this from a passion, because that's something that you're passionate about. And then you're now building that list. And I would be shocked if you didn't build a list of 300 to 500 people your first round. Okay. Like very easily.
All right.
So I would definitely recommend doing that. So with everything that we just went through, what is the biggest takeaway right now that you would say and that you feel like you're going to implement?
Well, definitely what you said about the giveaway, but focusing more on the faith-based and just trying to add more there and trying to stay away from the shiny objects and adding more in that doesn't need to be there. So
yeah. Here's the deal with that, Jenny. I literally have a squirrel on my shirt, right? Like I am the definition of ADD. Yeah. And one thing that I think a lot of people misunderstand is they think that niching down or picking a focus will not let them satisfy that itch. But what it actually does is it channels that itch. So you're saying, okay, I want to create this cool new product. How do I do that for Christians? how do I do that? Like I read this really cool Bible verse today. How can I design that into a yard flag? How can I design that? And it channels your focus, and it does put some blinders on, but it actually opens up the creativity and it lets you be more creative in that space because you're not thinking about, oh, I could do a Griswold's flag or I could do that. You're like, how do I take this one thing and put it here? And that's where ADD becomes a superpower, right? Shiny object syndrome can become a superpower, but you have to channel it through that lens of the niche focus because otherwise there's too many options. And when you can narrow it down and you force yourself to think, how can I apply this to that? It becomes very liberating. At least it does for me. And Scott, I think you feel the same way. When we can focus on just one thing and say, how do we take this really cool thing that we're thinking about and apply it to what we're talking about here? It opens up that creativity.
Okay.
Yeah. One last thing before we go here. In the comments, we had someone ask if in the categories of her shop, they had a question on that. And I wanted to kind of address that. Can we pull that up, Chris, again? Let's see. There we go. Yeah. So, and I think the question was, let's see here. Okay. Do you think her shop section should be orientated toward niches? Currently, they are product focused only. And this is where, okay, I think when someone comes to your shop right now, this is probably the way it should be. The minute that we start going the other direction is when I would start to categorize it out.
Okay.
Now, I don't think that you should go into 10 different niches. I think it should be more along, spiritual, Christian, faith-based. That's where you would probably want to put some of that into your categories.
Okay.
Other than that, what you currently have, I think you've done right. Personally, it is very broad, right? Like it's like pillow covers, mouse pads, garden flags, right? Like it's very, very broad.
Yeah.
The minute you go into, faith-based sweatshirts, you know what I mean? Or Christian-based whatever.
Okay.
Or Christian sweatshirts, just that, it could be that. So yeah, I agree. And I think, the one that was commenting was just like curious if we thought that was good. And I think it's good for where you're at, but I think moving forward, we would want to change that.
Okay.
Yeah. But other than that, really good job. And I feel like you've got everything it's going to take. Like I really, really do. So, kudos to you. But I would say the next 60 to 90 day plan, if I was to give you one, would be number one, focus. Right.
Okay.
I know it's going to be the tough one, but I want you to think of us in this call when you start to kind of get derailed a little bit. Right. I want you to just think of us and kind of like you're committing to this. And after the 60 to 90 days, if you want to go wander, you can go ahead and wander. But by then you probably won't want to. But I would say really just try to focus on that as your passion and then just come from a place of passion and create those products, but also do the product research too.
Okay.
To make sure that, you're targeting the right products that have at least the chance to succeed.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So any other questions or anything quick or?
No, the only thing was just on the POD. Like I said, I have those shirts and I plan on adding more shirt designs and possibly signs. Should I keep hand making everything else? Or do you think there's an advantage to doing POD for the garden flags or
you mean other than your sanity and your time?
Well, there's that. So
the question is, can you keep up with demand without wanting to pull all or more than half of your hair out? Right. And is the margin difference okay for you? Right.
Okay.
So you probably make more on a handmade thing. I'm just guessing you'd want to look at the pricing, but in a lot of cases you will make a few bucks more. So if you can, and you want to make that extra margin, do it. My suggestion would be if it's something that you can get made POD, I would at the very least, and Scott, I want your opinion on this too. I would at the very least go get a few samples printed to see if you could switch that out so that next Thanksgiving you can make the turkey if you want to, right? Because if you can take that off your plate, even if it's just at the flip of a switch, right? You're like, hey, this is no longer totally handmade. It's handmade with a production partner. We just leave it that way. And sometimes I make it, sometimes I let Printify print it. It just depends on how I feel that day.
Okay.
As long as the quality is okay with you and you have that flexibility, that's okay too. But I would be going and getting some samples of some of these things to see if you find somebody that has the quality that you like. And if that becomes an option, then we can start to offload some of those things. And the scaling side of this becomes a lot easier. Because if you were panicked at $5,000 in November and you were heat pressing while someone else was making the turkey, and that's not what you want this year, then we have to find a way around that. And if we're scaling from $4,000 or $5,000 a month to that $6,000 or $7,000 goal all year round, that starts to add up really fast. And anything that we can take off your plate is going to be an easier way to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Chris, and I just think you have to order some samples, but I would say, yeah, whatever you can do, like flags would probably be one that you could definitely do. I mean, we do them and their quality is great. It's just a matter of cost. But again, that comes down to your cost. How much time are you spending doing it, and shipping everything and packaging everything and, all of that. Is it worth the difference for you to be able to just submit an order to Printify and then it goes bye-bye? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, So I would say you find the ones that you feel comfortable doing. Not all of them, probably. You're probably still going to do some yourself, but I would definitely probably say just for your sanity, because you're wearing a lot of hats.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm definitely going to keep the shirts and sweatshirts as POD because I don't want that inventory. That closet back there is already... I can't do that inventory. So I hand that one off, but I just wasn't sure about having POD on other items. So
no, I think so. I think where it makes sense, do it. But again, we'll just weigh it out and then you need to make that decision, but keep us posted.
Okay.
That's your homework. I definitely want to hear from you. I want to hear back from you. I want an update and I want to see how you're doing. I think you're going to do well. And just a little side note here, we did get a comment in there and said, I want to get some design lessons from her. And they said, paid, of course. But, hey, that might be another part of your career here.
No, it's Canva. I started not knowing anything and just started watching YouTube videos on Canva and going from there. So,
but I'll tell you, you do have something that some people just don't have. And I've said this to my wife because she's got things that sometimes people don't have either. And that is an eye for design, right? Sometimes people are going to put a color that doesn't go with a color or, a design element with a design element. Like there is something to that. And I don't even know if that can be taught 100%. That's why if that isn't your, skill set, you might want to hire that out. You know what I mean? Like that, you can hire people. But I just thought it was interesting. So people are giving you a lot of credit for your designs. And I'm sure your customers love them as well. So keep doing what you're doing and keep us posted. And thanks so much for putting yourself out there and helping us and help other people. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome.
So that's a wrap for this Etsy shop audit. But if you want to watch more, well, you can find some more right here. And if you do, well, I'll see you there.